So today we're going to talk about how to install Octoprint on the Raspberry Pi 4 so we can use it as a print server for the Octopus Max EZ version 1.0. So to do this, what we're going to first start with is actually the SD card for the Raspberry Pi. So I'm going to insert it in here and then plug it into the computer. So what we'll do next is we'll actually switch over to the desktop. So on the desktop, I actually have the storage device that we can see right here, and I'm going to choose the OS. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to find Other Specific Purpose OS. Then we'll go to 3D Printing, and then we'll go to Octoprint, or Octopi, pardon me. So in this case, we're going to pick the actual 64-bit version of this so that we can actually install this. And we're going to do it with the branch for camera streamer so that when you plug it in, it'll be all set and ready to go. So I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to write. So this part, what I'll do is I'll start it. I'll say yes, and then I'm going to actually pause the video for a moment until it's nearly complete, and then we'll take it from there. So this should take only about maybe 5 minutes, depending upon the size of your drive. Okay, now that it's nearly complete, we'll let this finish verifying, and then I'll show you that it will pop a message here. So what we need to do now is actually remove the actual drive. So I'll pop it out real quick here. So I'm going to pull it out, and I'm going to reinsert this back into the computer, so you may hear a beep again. I'll go back over to the computer. I'll then go to the drive over here. Now you may see this, just click cancel, and then what we're going to have to do is actually bring up the folder. So what I like to do is go over to the drive over here. This is the actual message you're seeing. Let me click cancel again and go to the E drive, because this is where it's actually located. It may partition your drive. And we're going to look for the octopi-wpa-supplicant.txt. So we'll right click and we'll edit this in Notepad. So now that I have Notepad++ open, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to set it up for our router type. Now my router obviously has a username and a password like your router. This is so we can do this wirelessly. So I have to remove the comments to set this up, and then this is going to be your router name and your password for getting into it. So your password for router goes here. So that will be up to you to figure out what these are. So I'll take care of this, and then I'm going to have to save this file, and then we'll go back in. Okay, now that I've saved this out, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to pop it out and power it in our setup. So let's take this out of the actual computer, take the drive out, and we're going to have to place it underneath here in our drive for our Raspberry Pi. So now what I want to do with the Raspberry Pi is I'm actually going to set up a camera. So let me put this in place so you can see. So I'm going to place it right about here on the desk. I'm actually going to hook up a display so you can see what's occurring. And then I'm going to also hook up power. So the power I'll have to hook up in just a second so that I can show you the boot process. So I'll bring it to the boot screen almost immediately. So let's see if we can do this. So there. And then we're over on the boot screen. You can see it's starting to boot. It's probably going to have to resize it. So this may take a second. There's a couple of operations that it normally does when loading the OS. So as you can see them happening right now. So in a few seconds, it's probably going to reboot yet again. But right now it looks like it's setting the SSH key and it's about to reboot. So let's give this about 5 seconds. It looks like it's already starting to reboot. And so what'll happen now is, I know it's kind of fuzzy, but this is the best image I could give you to see what's going on. You'll start to see the boot process scroll by for Raspbian, or the actual, I think it's Bullseye for the actual operating system version. And at the very end of this, there's going to be something important that you're going to need to see. And it's down towards the bottom, and that will be the IP address. So as you can see, it says right here 192.168.1.2. That is the address that's generated for your configuration. It may not be the same number, but that's what the actual web browsing address will be. And what that means is, if you set up the password and username for your router correctly, that's what you will see. So let's go over to the desktop of the computer for a second and see if we can actually see that. So on the desktop, I'm going to create a new instance. I'm going to type 192.168.1.2 and press enter. And if this works correctly, we should see the Octoprint or Octopi load as our actual setup. So it does bring us to the setup wizard. So now what you're going to do is click next. If you have a old version, you can take care of it there. But I'm going to create a username. I'm going to call it Pi for now. And the password, I'll call it Raspberry. And do the same one again, Raspberry. And then I'll create the account. Then what I'll do is I'll click next. And what we'll do is we'll test the host. It looks like it's reachable because it can reach out to the address. So we'll do enable connectivity check. We'll do next. Then we'll do, for now, enable anonymous tracking. This is up to you to figure out what you want to do. Then next, and then we'll do enable blacklist processing. This is up to you as well. So next. And then of course the webcam, we'll take care of that in just a second after we're finished. So we'll just do next. And then we'll stick with the default name, but you can change this, and you can change these settings if you so choose to your printer type. Obviously, this is based on, this would be if you have a, let's see, an Ender 3. This is what it would look like. So next, and then we'll say finished. So this should come up in a second. So let's do reload now. And then the one other thing that you want to do before you check anything else is you want to do the update now. So we'll proceed with that. I'll let you see what's occurring. This should be somewhat quick. It's basically updating your operating system with any of the current fixes for either the operating system or for Octoprint or Octopi, depending upon how you refer to it. So this will reload in just a second. And we should be good. So let's give this a second to actually possibly boot. I'm not sure if it's happening under the hood, but it looks like it's just resetting. So the next thing we want to do is actually connect the printer. So I'm going to have to go back over to the desktop for a second. I'm going to have to grab a cable, and I'm going to connect it to one of these for now. And then connect it to the board, and I'm going to have to power the board with actual power from the power supply. So I'm going to plug this in, and then we'll go back over to the desktop for the computer, and now you have these set up as auto, so we can do connect, and if it works correctly, it'll say that it's connected. So we can test this by going over to terminal, and we can type something like M119. Now we have no end stops connected. So let's hit enter. It should say triggered for all of them. And it does. And all these other readouts that you're seeing are temperature. If you want to suppress things, you can click it like this and it will hide those. And that gives you a little bit of control over what you see scrolling through here. Now, if we want to hook up a camera, let me grab one real quick here and we'll go over to the desktop. So I'm going to grab a webcam. So I'm going to use a Logitech and I'm just going to connect it into one of these ports and point it at the board and see if it turns on, which it looks like it's about to. So let's see what we get on the actual desktop. So let's click Control, and it looks like it's working. So let me move the camera around. Okay, it's moving around, so you can see there's camera action occurring. You can use that then to record if you so choose. And these are the controllers like Pronterface that I always show you in my videos. So at this moment, I'd like to thank my patrons for their patronage, obviously, and the people on PayPal that have made donations to help this keep going. And I also added recently the Buy Me a Cup of Coffee. So everyone, take care, be safe, and I'll talk to you later.